Good evening, and welcome to the Fortean Slip Dose thingy. I don't know what the fuck it is at this point. It's something. Been kind of lax on doing anything during the week. Had some hectic shit going on lately, but trying to get back into the swing of things, get some new things going on. Steve did just move into his new house, so he's been busy traversing back and forth between two states and having his own issues there, so that's why we haven't been doing stuff during the week as much. But, you know, we have done the weekly show, and I haven't had a chance to get together with Fred lately to do anything because I've been working on trying to put together another show, which should be coming together shortly. And Fred tonight is joining us with his brand new headset and microphone, brought to him by his lovely wife, Mrs. Dunn, who
That's right.
I would like to throw out a humongous thanks to, because he sounds absolutely wonderful over the webcam mic he was using in the beginning.
Yeah, it wasn't quite up to par, but it was nice to cut my teeth with it.
Yeah,
and
what you got isn't I wouldn't say it's a studio quality mic or anything like that, but it's a nice headset, and you're coming over a lot clearer than you were with the webcam mic, which picks up a lot more the room noise.
I noticed that when I was listening to it too, so hopefully this will be a bit better.
Yeah, it's a bitch.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to talk about, because I've been on this kick lately, because I've been trying to restructure my sleep schedule, because I used to be up all night and I would sleep during the day.
You got to keep that circadian rhythm going.
It's horrible. I gotta start taking melatonin or some shit to regulate my sleep. Because I can't take sleeping pills or anything like that. Not because I'm afraid that I'd abuse them too much or anything like that. But I am a pill addict, so I don't want to go down that road.
Well, you got to take something then to pick you up, and
it just doesn't wash in the end. So I thought maybe I should, try to get back on a regular rhythm. And I've been going upstairs at night and turning on Ancient Aliens. And I've seen all of the episodes of Ancient Aliens ad nauseum. But
allow Sukalos's soothing tones to
the ones that aren't
send you off.
The ones that aren't on Netflix, I don't know how many of those I've seen, but the ones that are on Netflix, I've seen ad nauseum.
Oh yeah.
But so anyway, I'll go and I'll pop one, an episode on, and I'll lay down. And my thing is, I was telling Matt Knapp, that he used to be one of the hosts on the Fortean Slip. Now he has his own show, Bigfoot-Crossroads. Is it Bigfoot-Crossroads that he's doing now?
He's doing that, yeah.
I hate to fuck this up and not promote.
Yeah, I know he was doing the Revolution, but I think that is dissolved.
I think it's Bigfoot-Crossroads with Jonathan Brown.
Yep.
But I was talking with him about it, and I said, hey, I go upstairs and I turn on Ancient Aliens. I said, about the fucking third or fourth time I hear Sukalos or Childress say that it has to be fucking Ancient Aliens. It just, I'm out. I fucking just,
what other option could it
be? I tune it out, and I'm like, all right. But, I was talking with you before the show, they bring up a lot of good points. There's a lot of really great points on that show about how the fuck did this shit happen. How...
See, and I liked earlier on, because they always had that premise of they were asking the question, they were presenting the evidence, and then it's sort of what do you think? Whereas now I find a lot of it is it's said in a way that it's like, we know what's going on, don't we? And it's just,
Oh yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
well, my like the other night I'm watching one and I can't remember what thing it was, but they go, well, if you come to these logical conclusions, then it had to be ancient aliens. And
Yes.
I'm just
And that was
like,
good shit.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, what? Like,
Oh my.
there's no
Yeah.
possibility that it could be anything else. So anyway, I've been on this kick
Anything.
with fucking aliens, and I recently watched Dark Skies, and I, I wanted to go through this movie. A cool little horror movie slash
See, and I like it
abduction
when they
movie.
do that. They throw that horror aspect to it because let's face it, if any kind of encounter in that kind of scenario is going to be horrific,
And right,
at least for the human occupant.
and they portrayed like this abduction by these greys in a horrific way in this movie.
Mm.
And abduction movies in general, like you and I were talking about Travis Walton
Yep.
and how that Fire in the Sky movie, and if I watched that movie today, it would not be as chilling or near
No.
as frightening to me as it was back when I was a kid. But
Still get a chill when he's getting torn down and pulled through the hall, that alien craft through the hallway, and you see all the artifacts tumbling, especially the tiny little kid's shoe. It's
yeah,
like,
oh yeah,
oh,
there's some creepy
what kind of
shit in
horror
there,
are
man.
here?
But those movies, um, they grab you. There's a
They
certain
do.
thing about those movies if they're done properly where they grab
Yeah.
you. Um, w-
Well, they're based in a lot of truth. Like, I mean, I also I've checked out Walton's story himself, and a lot of the things change slightly from the actual movie telling. There's a lot of it that's truthful, and it's just neat. I find both versions very bizarre. Like, I mean, just the fact that something happened up there in the woods and people can't seem to really explain it. Like, even
right, and
Walton himself says.
I've said before on the program that I in the 90s I saw something, and I won't go so far as to say it was an alien spacecraft. I
No.
don't know what it was. Does that make it a UFO? I kind of guess so because
Well,
it
it was
was
unidentified.
unidentified. It was flying and it was a fucking
Yep.
object. But it was, the typical triangular shaped craft with the lights at the points
Right.
that a lot of people have seen. Now I don't know what that was. Was it some type of an experimental craft?
Yeah,
I
retro engineered.
I don't fucking know. All I can tell
No,
you
you
is
saw something
I
on the
saw it.
air.
It went overhead
Yeah.
and it blocked out the stars and it was silent. That's all I know. But
Yeah, see, and
this
that's
is
that's
where it gets me, Fred. Where they get me is with the abduction stuff. Now,
yeah.
do I buy that alien abduction could happen? If aliens are coming here, yeah. I
It's
question,
reasonable.
I question whether, or not it's happening on the scale that it seems to be happening or whatnot, or whether or not it's really aliens or if it's, because I've gone down this road before, whether it's time travelers.
That's an interesting theory, and I've always thought like it's very interesting being like I always bring this up being an artist, but it is true. You look, I've drawn alien grays, I've drawn the human face, and if you look at it from a standpoint, if we were to evolve on this current trajectory, I mean, we could technically get physically smaller. I mean, if we were to move off world, we were mentioning it before the show that the solar radiation that we absorb on this planet, our genetic makeup it's harmonious. It goes with that. If we were to move off planet, we'd have to be genetically different. So, I mean, whether it's a humanoid time traveler that's coming back with his cousins to say, "Hey, let's go watch the primitives" or something. I don't know. Like, let's go slum it. You know, I have no idea, but
yeah.
it's an interesting idea, and like thinking about space and time travel, like I think they go hand in hand, sort of. I mean, that's layman's terms, but you always see the two brought up. I mean, if you have to travel through space, distance is an issue, but I mean, I'm sure there's ways around it.
Well,
None that I know.
you can go into the multiple world theories. You can go into all kinds of other time travel theories. But hey, with this show, I always like to go down the fucking hole, down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I almost hate to use it now because I named a show
Yeah, because
that with David, but you go down that hole because you see these things that have happened throughout history.
Yep.
With these supposed advanced civilizations that you got these people like on Ancient Aliens saying it had to be aliens that interfered with these civilizations. Okay, did you ever see the movie Millennium with Chris Christopherson?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Fred,
yeah.
This is why I like.
I even watched the TV show that was based on it years later with Lance Hendrickson, like loosely based on it, but the original that blew my mind. Yeah, that was with the airplanes and how they were traveling back in time to pull people out, and then that was some wicked shit.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I wonder about these lost civilizations. Is what if it was people from the future coming back to grab these people because they knew they were going to be gone anyway.
Yeah, and they could use them for whatever, whether it's nefarious or for good purposes, whatever.
Well, in the movie Millennium, of course, like what was it? They were infertile in the future or something like that, or they needed the people because the population was dwindling. I can't remember what the fuck it was. It's been so long.
It had a very when I saw 12 Monkeys many years later, it had that same kind of that dystopian like it's not good type future.
Right. Oh, 12 Monkeys. That's a good fucked up time travel movie. Oh God. Brad Pitt played crazy perfectly.
Yeah, he did, like right to the googly eye and everything. that goofy mustache that he had. Yeah, it was a good, and that's a time traveling in itself. Well, that's a thing. I mean, like scientists and people that think they're experts and people that just on the fringe, everybody's got an opinion and they all think they know. But I mean, we don't know. Like, what is it possible? Like, I mean, could we travel vast distances, and would that be a type of time travel? Like, if we traveled so very far, would we end up traveling back in time or into the future? Or, I mean, I know Einstein's proven that that it's provable, like with that atomic clock that they flew many years ago to prove that time travel is our traveling distance. Time.
Well, yeah, the closer you get to the speed of light, the less the time passes, the slower that time passes for you. And
see, you got to think, like, if they're alien from another place, like, what's their motivation? Like, I mean, like, if we were to go, we're sure we can look at it in a human view. Like, if we find another planet, it's probably going to go down the way it's gone down when we found other countries. We're going to screw up the system, whatever way you want to look at it.
Well, my thing, too, is if the universe is so vast, and there's so many different alien civilizations, which there would have to be. In my opinion, there would have to be. I look at the universe and I go, yeah, there's got to be like a lot of life out there. Okay, so
that would seem to be a lot of redundancy for nothing.
Right.
Like,
so if there's
you look up and go, wow.
If there's all this life, which I would assume there is, based on, statistical probability, that's what I would call it, based on statistical probability. If there's all this life, there's bound to be warlike races or, races that would want to do nothing but just come here and conquer us or destroy us or whatever. So why
Or
hasn't that
races that would
happened?
look at us like we're nothing but ants, you know?
Right.
We're so beneath
I,
them.
I just wonder why that certain things haven't happened in that area, and that's what makes me question or wonder whether or not alien abductions and UFO sightings and alien sightings are not so much aliens, or could they be time travelers? Because to
Yeah.
me it makes more sense
They would
some
have a
levels.
motivation.
It makes sense on some levels. In other ways it doesn't. But
Dude,
I
if
think
they
it's a
showed
cool.
up right now, like some dude comes out and says, "Hey, hop in this chair, Chris and Fred. I'm going to take you back to see Neanderthals."
Fuck,
We're
I'm
going to do it. We're
down.
hop in, and you know what? We're going to get there, and like, I mean, we're going to poke at them, and like, well, they probably kick the shit out of us, but you know what I'm getting at? Like, you know, it would be an opportunity that just would be unbelievable. Or another theory that I like, that there's some sort of organic type robot that's being sent back in time from our future ancestors, and you know, some sort of robotic intelligence, because they always say that. And that's what we're doing now. We're not sending astronauts out to Mars and outer to further reaches of space. We're sending probes, artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
Maybe
well,
these rays and these
we're
aliens.
sending robots because they
Yeah,
can make the journey.
right, and maybe that's the case with this. Maybe we're interacting with what we think is a species, but we're really interacting with some sort of organic, or we don't even know if it's organic. Maybe it is a robot, but some sort of created intelligence or created being that's sent to probe and find out information and has no emotional basis. Doesn't
Are you
matter if it
saying
sticks something up
Brainiac
our rectum.
is coming to the Earth?
Oh, son of a bitch! We need to get Superman.
I know. Where the fuck is Kal El when we need him?
Kal-El. Yeah,
The artificially intelligent aliens are coming to kill us.
they're coming to get us, or maybe you know what? Maybe they're just a bunch of fucked up aliens like we would be, and they're just coming here to mess us up.
I
You know,
see.
who knows?
I don't know the answers to the questions. Okay, and I don't think that
No,
anybody really does. Science, has a good grasp of certain things as far as like how certain things work in the universe, but they're constantly running across shit that baffles them, and they're like, "What the fuck?"
well,
But
25 years, the stuff that we know for sure will be, some of it will be changed, some of
yeah,
it will be added on, and that's the way science should be.
and but here's the thing. I question what it is. I don't. I keep an open mind about it. Do I think it's definitely not aliens? No, I don't think that.
Mm,
Do I definitely think it's definitely time travelers? No, I don't think that.
no,
I think that nobody really knows, and I think it's an interesting phenomenon that happens. And I I I liken it to a lot of the other. I won't say famous, but popular paranormal cryptozoological things like Bigfoot,
encounters. Yes.
where there's so many different sighting reports and encounter reports that you kind of can't
Hmm.
dismiss every single one. Like there's got to be
Well,
something.
some truth, yes, and that's the thing. Like, but what is the truth? Who's telling the truth? Who's seeing it through skewed goggles? And who knows? But it's interesting. There's definitely something going on. There's definitely some sort of activity.
And like I
You
was,
know, I
and
think it.
like I was talking to someone the other night, and they were relaying a UFO story to me. A UFO,
Yeah.
not so much. I don't know if it was an abduction story so much or what, but and I was like, listen, I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on you or anything like that,
No.
but um, you know, if you're telling me this story, it's a story.
Yeah.
It's not. There's no basis in fact. There's no evidence. It's a story. It's being relayed to me as a story. I'm like, I
Yeah.
do those on my channel. I call them the
Yeah.
Fortean Slip bedtime stories. Now, there's a lot of
Yeah.
those that
Yeah.
I do that I don't. buy into them so much, or I don't know that there's much basis in fact to them. Some of them are urban legends. They're just stories.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with a lot of this stuff is there's no real evidence. It's just a bunch of stories. So what do we have? We just have a bunch of abduction stories. I'd like to see real hard evidence. And there are the the extremists that will say, "Oh, there is evidence." Well,
It's a smear campaign. The
government's all over it. Yeah.
And you know what? On that note, if for say there were aliens and the government did know about it, governments of the world, to be honest, yeah, they need to cover that up. I mean, in general, we're a bunch of idiots. We're a pack of morons. I mean, individually, there's great people, and you'll run across them all through life. But in general, if you take a look at it from the outside in, we tend to look like a very destructive type of breed of species. And I don't know.
Well, we definitely have a hard time living in harmony.
Well, for sure. What happens if James Earl Jones comes on? It's a national newscast, and he finally says, "Yeah, they're here." Obviously, I can't do Vader's voice, but they say they're here. Aliens are here. They're real. You're all screwed. We're sorry about that. I mean, they're rioting in Baltimore and in other areas, and I'm not saying that stuff's not good or not warranted, or there's nothing. That's between. But we're doing that for domestic issues in our own or your country, which is close to my country,
right?
I mean, what would happen if we found out all of a sudden, for sure, definitively, all the crackpots are right, there are aliens, and they're out there, and we don't know shit about them? Well, and I'm not even
going so far as to say that it's a bunch of crackpots. I'm not even going that far. I don't want to go and say, this person's an absolute liar. But it comes to a degree with some things. Like I liken it to the thing that I recently did the podcast with Steve this week on the Dr. Johnson shit. Okay, the Dr. Johnson shit to me is horseshit. That's my opinion. I'm not telling you that that's the absolute truth, but that's my opinion. That's one situation where I will say I think the guy is full of shit because. Right. 2 and 2 to me makes 4. It doesn't make something else. And the way his math works, I don't understand how it fucking works.
You're not adding the bullshit into that equation.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And like when we're talking about alien abductions, like I could say, hey, and this could be a truthful story, and this is a truthful story. Like once I had an encounter. I think I was abducted by aliens, and they left me in a snowbank. My friend said it happened to me. I do vaguely remember stuff, and it was horrible. I was traumatized, and then I end the story. That's all there is to it. I don't tell you the back issue that there was a 40-pounder of tequila involved, and a lot of other external things. And my friends knew I was scared of aliens, and they were playing a joke on me, telling me that they abducted me, and really I passed out in a snowbank. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's a case 20 years later somebody thinks that that encounter
well, but like I was saying before, Fred, it's for me it's an instance where there's all of these different people all over the world having the same type of encounters, and it was happening before there was any type of social media.
A global network, yeah, and that is bizarre, and that's interesting.
Yeah, so,
like when they talk about, like this is a little off topic, but similar, like ancient giants in America and stuff like that, where they have newspaper clippings of farmers finding 9-foot skeletons, and you're like, wow, man. Even if they're wrong about the actual height, they obviously found big skeletons. You know what I mean? Like that's interesting. And I think the same can be said in this case where, you know what I mean, like that they've got interesting information, and the fact that like now we have to worry about that, the fact that we are globally connected, like everybody knows what aliens look like. So
Or well,
and he kind of
everybody's got the same
or
what
thinks
you would
they know.
what you would call norm. You know, we've got this normal look for the gray
Star
alien.
Trek aliens.
You know,
they got to be humanoid.
So
eyeballs on their head.
It's just, I don't know. To me, there's not enough for me to be completely on board, but I'm not.
No,
I'm not gonna say that it doesn't happen.
But there's enough of it. Just like when we said about the big hairy guy. I mean, like with encounters, like if you talk to the individual, a lot of times you have to make a judgment on, okay, you know what? I might not believe this individual's story, but I believe this person is credible. So this person thought they saw something, and then they think they saw what they're describing. So I believe in that. I believe in them, and then there's other people where, you know, they just don't seem credible. They're giving me too much information, too much money. They've thought too much about it. You know, maybe they're elaborating something that wasn't anything at all. You know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of BS that goes into a lot of this shit. So, you know, I mean, hey, we've I personally just continue to wade through it because I'm a fan of the genre, and I just personally want to keep going. You know, I want to keep looking.
You can't help it.
Right, because like I was saying, there's something there. Whether or not the answer is something that we don't want to hear, that's irrelevant.
That would be tough.
But there's something there.
There has to be.
Yeah.
Too much redundancy for it not to be.
This has been
back to the base.
The Fortean Slip Dose thingy. I think it's episode 45. Figure it out.
Sounds good.
I think Fred and I are going to try to get things worked out a little better, so we're doing at least one a week here.
For sure.
At some point. I don't know exactly what day we're going to work out. It might be early in the week, it might be later in the week, we might switch it up. But try to get these in the can regularly. If you like this shit, hit the like button. If you don't, hit the thumbs down button. Leave a comment, subscribe. Go to Dreadfun, youtube.com/Dreadfun.
Check me out. Yep.
Check out Fred's
I draw pictures.
artwork.